Alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa nu'minu bihi wa natawakkalu alayhi. Wa na'udzu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam tabaraka wa sallama tasliman kasiran kasira amma ba'd. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wa man ahsanu qawlan mimman da'a ila Allah wa amila salihah wa qala innani minal muslimin. My dear brothers and respected elders and respected sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been very kind to us. He has been very kind, most forgiving, most merciful, most compassionate. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't give us the orders which He knows that we are not able to carry out that order. We don't have the ability. He tried, he gave the order, and when he found out that we are unable to obey it, he changed it. He changed the order. Many times, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very kind, very compassionate. He doesn't burden us more than we can bear. So the orders of Allah which we are not able to obey, He changed it, altered it. In the beginning, the order of during the month of Ramadan, we cannot do any sexual intercourse either during the day or during the night. The Prophet ﷺ used during that time to stay away from his wife, remain in the masjid, itikaf. But naturally many Muslims, not all but many, are unable to obey. Allah knows they are still having sex during the night. Many of them. Particularly those who are very sexual driven. So naturally at night they will be sleeping with their wife on the same bed, and they cannot afford not to do sex. They are able to not to do sex during the day, but not during the night. So Allah changed the order. He changed the order that you cannot do sex during the day, but you can do it during the night. And then Allah makes sunat muakkad who do itikaf in the last 10 days. And during that last 10 days of Ramadan, Allah says you should not touch your wife. So you must do itikaf. But still, it is obligatory. It is sunat muakkad. So people who do itikaf in the last 10 days of Ramadan will stay in the mosque and leaving their wife at home, so they will be able to obey the order not to do sex even during the night. So initially Allah wishes that we shouldn't have sex even during the month of Ramadan, the whole month. But Allah is kind, very kind. He changed it. So, do you know this before I told you about this? You don't know. Because you don't read Quran, Many people don't read Quran, do not understand. Because it is in Arabic. They read Quran only for getting rewards. Every day they're reading Quran in Arabic. They don't even know Arabic. No, they read the Quran in Arabic with translation in their own language. They just read Arabic. Simply reading in Arabic just to gain rewards. not having any intention to know what is being said to them, what Allah have said. No? They don't worry about what Allah says, they're just reading. So these people are just singing actually. They're reading Quran but they're singing. So you can see, you can understand what will be the benefit that a person who are singing, a foreign language, just having the nice melody, that's about all. Other than that, they gain nothing. So the Malays are very fond in reading the Quran with melody, we call it with tajweed, with learning the correct way to pronounce every single words. The length, the sound, the harakat, 2 harakat, 6 harakat. What is called? To learn the Taranum. They're very good, many, very good. One family on the YouTube having all the girls and the boys reading Quran with Taranum. Very nice voice. And that's about all. Like we are singing, like we Malays singing the Hindustani song. Very nice. But only the melody, but all. We don't know what it means in the song. What's the meaning of the song? Couldn't be bothered also to know. We only care about the melody. We find it's a good melody that we sing. Similarly, some who doesn't know English only sings very nice English songs. The same thing they do to Quran. They don't know Arabic. They just sing it in a good melody, good taranum. They change only the words from melody to taranum, Arabic one. But it means nothing other than having very, good for the ear, not good for the hearts and the minds. Because people are reading Quran only to hear the melody of Quran. Of course, Quran is very, when we hear it is recited in the correct tajweed and taranum, it's very, very nice. Very much better than all other songs in the whole entire world. But that's about all. So when they heard a very good recitation of Quran, they will say, Allahu Akbar. They will say that. They will say from time to time, but they don't know what it means. So reading Quran with the intention to know what Allah wants is not materialized. What Allah do not want, to know what Allah wants. Actually, we read Quran in order to know what Allah wants. What Allah do not want is not materialized. That aim is not materialized. By the present day Muslim, not present day, from day one, the non-Arabs particularly, are reading Quran simply to hear the melody of the Quran. Nothing else. But actually, reading Quran is not to hear the good melody. Is to know what Allah wants, what Allah do not want, and to practice it. Not only to know, to practice it, to understand it, to practice. When we practice what Allah wants and we avoid doing what Allah do not want, then only we become the lover of Allah. We can never become the lover of Allah if we don't do what Allah wants and what Allah and avoid doing what Allah do not want. So how to know that? We must read the Quran. Not reading the Quran with melody only, not able to understand it. So we must read the Quran with understanding. So with Arabic and the translation to our own language, and then we must read the tafseer. Then only the correct tafseer, not Ibn Kasir. The tafsir of Ibn Kasir and all the rest are not telling you what Allah wants. They don't tell you. They just tell these people say this, these people say this. And he don't even say, I'm saying this. No. These people say this. That's about all. They don't make correct tafseer. I'm telling you. All the rest of the tafseer which has been previously done are not the correct tafseer. Because they are not telling to the people what Allah wants. What Allah do not want. It is only in my tafsir with the grace of Allah, with the permission of Allah, that mentioned specifically what Allah wants and what Allah do not want. So that once you know what Allah wants and once you know what Allah do not want, you will be able to obey the orders which Allah wants and avoid doing what Allah do not want. And in order to be able to understand, to know, to obey, then you need iman. You must read Quran with taqwa. You must read Quran with taqwa. That's why in the early part of Surah Baqarah, Allah specifically mentioned, Alif Lam Mim, Zalikal Kitabu la Raiba Fihi Hudan lil Muttaqin. First ayat. Alif Lam Mim, no one knows the meaning of it. Only Allah knows. Why Allah put the verse Alif Lam Mim in the beginning of Surah Baqarah? Just to tell the entire people who read the Quran that this Quran is revealed by the God of the entire mankind who knows everything, but you know nothing. So you better listen and read this Quran, listen, obey, practice. And that's why it is, the first verse is Alif Lam Mim, to tell that the knower of everything is me. I only know, because Alif Lam Mim, only Allah knows, nobody else knows. And all of you, my creation, know nothing. You must admit that. You must have that belief in your heart. Once you start reading the Quran, if you don't have that belief, then you become like many people now, reading Quran only for melodious reason, to hear the melodious sounds. That's about all. And good is that spending hours, years, just to recite the Quran in correct tajweed and taranum. That's all. So what's the use? Dying as a person who doesn't know what Allah wants and not doing what Allah wants. That's the and then saying, he's a very pious person, reading Quran every day, completing Quran one juz every day. Many Muslims become so proud. But of course, they are better than those who don't read Quran at all. I'm not telling that it is useless to read Quran with melody. But it is better than those who do not read Quran at all, like Rashidi. Not reading the Quran. Until I keep on persuading them again and again, how it is important to read the Quran with understanding, with knowing what Allah wants, what Allah do not want, so that we'll obey and do what Allah wants and do not do what Allah prohibited us from doing. Then only we can use the Quran as a means of guidance for us to reach Allah, to become the lover of Allah. So that's why we must read the Quran with taqwa. That means, in other words, a person of taqwa will be having benefit from reading the Quran. Because the people of taqwa is the people who fear Allah, who have the belief in their hearts that I know nothing, Allah knows everything. Alif Lam Mim. But now what we understand? We only read Alif Lam Mim. We do not know why. Just simply, there are many verses, many surah in the Quran. We started with this mutashabihat. Ayat which are called mutashabihat. Nobody knows. Alif Lam Mim, Taha, and so on. All the verses. Why Allah put this ayat of mutashabihat in the beginning of the surah is to tell the person who read the Quran that in these verses of the Quran, in this surah of the Quran, many important things I will mention to you. So you must read it properly, understand it, and obey it. That's why it started with that verse mutashabihat. tell you that you know nothing, I know everything. Please read with concentration and devotion. Understand it and then obey it. Not only to read it with good tajweed. So the achievement of most Muslims nowadays, since the day, the Quran was revealed during the time of Rasulullah, the Arabs, they understand the meaning, but they don't also understand the interpretation of it. Rasulullah was not given, the ability to read and to write. He's illiterate. And so nobody make a correct tafseer of the Quran. Quran was written just after the demise of Rasulullah, but has never been interpreted correctly. So the general Muslim in the whole are unable to know. That's why they are unable to know, because there's no book being written with correct tafsir of the Quran. No book. So the whole Muslim, particularly the non-Arabs, completely do not know what's actually Allah has mentioned in the Quran, other than reciting in a correct way. So that's about all. They go and learn about tajweed, and then they teach. You must say illalladhi, not illalladhi. That's all. You must say mim, 3 harkat, not mim 6 harkat. That's all they teach. Oh, they are giving a lot of attention to this now. Many people tend to like it, and spending hours just to correct it. Hours. Rasulullah said, a time will come when people will spend hours reciting every single letter of the Quran, but they know nothing. They don't obey the Quran. They are the hellfire, They are the people of the hellfire. Most of my qari of my ummah are hypocrites. Most of the qari is a person who recite Quran nicely, Most of them are hypocrites. They don't fear Allah. They don't have Allah also. Hypocrite, hypocrite is a disbeliever who pretend to become Muslim. That's what hypocrite. You don't say hypocrite is a Muslim or a believer. It is a disbeliever who pretend to become Muslim. Pretend. So to Allah, so most qari in my ummah, are hypocrites. Hypocrites or munafikin. Munafikin actually not Muslim. They are non-believers who have pretended to become Muslim. They recite the kalima, but the kalima is not accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not to say the kalima has not entered into their heart. The kalima has not been accepted. The Muslim who have recited the kalima and Allah accepted his recitation is a person who has entered Islam. When the kalima has entered into his heart, it's called a believer. When it has entered to the level which Allah is pleased, it's called a believer with the good deeds. When in the heart nothing else, only the kalima, is become the believer. The believer of Allah, the lover of Allah. Become the lover of Allah. Very few people who are able to reach to this level. When there's nothing in the heart except Allah, then he becomes the lover of Allah. If there is still something in the heart other than Allah, become true believer of the good deeds. When the love of dunya more than Allah, then he become equal like the disbeliever, because their actions are not accepted, because they love other than Allah more than Allah. So they are a believer, but their amals are not accepted, because they will do the amal with no sincerity. The person who have entered Islam, the kalima has not entered at all into their heart. Definitely their actions are not accepted because lacks of sincerity. So the believer or the person who has entered Islam, the believer, the Christian, the Jews, the Sabiin, all the same. They are the people of the hellfire. Who are the people of paradise? Only the believers who have become the true believers, the good deeds, and the lover of Allah. The lover of Allah will be in the high level of paradise. The true believer, the good deeds, in the lower level of paradise. There are two groups. Allah says in the Quran, there will be two groups will be entering paradise. The first group is in the lower level, and the first group in the upper level, the lover of Allah. Then the second group, the true believer, the good deeds. But Allah didn't say in hellfire two groups, no, one group only. You know, one group, because there's no point putting separately many groups, because all the hellfire is a place where people will be burnt, except the lowest level, the most. People who are in the lowest level of hellfire will definitely be burned to such a miserable level of pain, you know. Untold pain, untold suffering. But all the people in the hellfire are burnt. Their skin will be burnt. And they will die, then make alive again. They will be burned. They die, they will be made alive again. They will be died. That's all. But yet there is no death. Complete suffering. So the difference between the first group of people who are going to Jannah, they are in the upper level, close to Allah. They are close to Allah, they have opportunity to visit Allah frequently. Those in the lower level, they don't visit Allah that frequently. They are spending more time with their woman of paradise, having sex, eating. That's the lower level of paradise. But in order to be able to go to paradise and save from hellfire, you know, a person must become the true believer of the good deeds. Otherwise, he will not be able to go to paradise and save from hellfire. The believer or the person who recited the kalima will enter the hellfire first. After being punished for the sin which they have committed, then only they can leave the hellfire. Or because they got the intercession from some prophets or pious people, they can leave earlier than the scheduled time. That's all what intercession able to give to the person in the hellfire. Not that a person who is getting intercession will be saved from the hellfire. They will not be saved. They will be put in the hellfire first. Then only intercessions will be given. They don't go to paradise. They will go to hellfire first. You know, like Abu Talib, he cannot get the intercession of our Prophet because he doesn't even recite the kalima. So, my dear brothers and respected elders, we don't have iman, we don't have faith in Allah to the level which Allah is pleased. Then we are the same as the Jews and the Christians. These are why in the Surah Fatiha, Allah says two groups, you know. One group is we ask Allah not to make us to follow the people whom the rest of Allah is upon them. And these are the Jews, Christians, those non-Muslims or hypocrites. No? The Jews, Christian, and all the non-Muslim and the hypocrite. These are the path of those whose your rest is upon them. And then walad dhalin is on the people who recited the kalima or who have recited the kalima, but the kalima has not entered to the heart of that person to the level which Allah is pleased. These are walad dhalin. So we should not become walad dhalin, only people who recite the kalima, but the kalima has not entered into our heart or has entered only to the level which Allah is not pleased. So we'll be in walad dhalin. Where the place of walad dhalin? in the hellfire. And the second one, not on the path of those whom you wrath upon them. They are the Jews, the Christians, the non-Muslims, the hypocrites. Understand? Hypocrites are not Muslims, they are disbelievers, non-Muslims. So they are all in that group. But there is only one group that will go to paradise. They'll go to Jalan. The group that follow the true path, the correct path. And that path is the path of those whom Allah's pleasure is on them. The path of those whom Allah is pleased, or whom the pleasure Allah on them. This is the path of the prophets. And in our case, is the path of our Prophet Muhammad SAW. So the correct path, the straight path is the path who follow the Sunnah. The Sunnah of Muhammad SAW. That's all. You don't follow the Sunnah, Muhammad SAW, you don't follow the correct path. Yeah, you don't have to say Siddiqin, Shuhada. Only those who follow the path of Muhammad SAW or those who follow Sunnah. So now, when we don't interpret this way, many people they don't follow Sunnah. They are actually involved dhalin, you know. Those who don't follow Sunnah is involved dhalin. Because the Sunnah is actually the Quran. The Quran is actually the correct path. So whatever Rasulullah is doing is not other than Quran. So what Rasulullah is doing is the interpretation of the Quran practically. So we follow Muhammad SAW, we follow the Sunnah, we are on the correct path. So if we don't follow the Sunnah, we are not in the correct path. What is the most important Sunnah of Rasulullah? Nowadays people are they misunderstood between Sunnah and Sunat. Sunat is the hukum, you know, of certain action. Sunat and fardu, you know, is the hukum. But Sunnah is known as practice. What has been practiced by the Prophet ﷺ are called Sunnah. So some Sunnah are obligatory, you know, or fard. Some Sunnah is Sunat. And the fard got two, obligatory or fardu ain or fardu kifayah. The Sunat has two, highly recommended and not highly recommended, or mu'akkad or ghair mu'akkadah. So makruh is not Sunat. Makruh, which means something we can do but we get no rewards. Things which are not practiced by Rasulullah are divided into two. One is haram, the other one is makruh. Haram we definitely cannot do. Makruh is we may do, but there are two parts. Makruh which is close to haram. Another one, makruh which is not close to haram. We can do both, not close or not close, but we better not doing the one that is close to haram, because it is very difficult if it goes to haram. If without realizing it, it goes to haram. But the makruh which are not close to haram, we can do, but we got no rewards. So many people are, you know, arguing about this. They don't even know the hukum. The practice which are not done by Rasul are called bid'ah. But not all bid'ah are dalalah. The bid'ah which are dalalah is the haram. You know? But the makruh we can do. One is close to haram, we better not do, but we can. Second one, which is not close to haram. But the sunnah of Rasulullah is only two, fardu and sunnah. We got rewards for doing it. You know, for doing the sunnah, either it is greatly recommended, or highly recommended or not highly recommended. Both are rewarded because this is a sunnah. And of course, the most obligatory sunnah, 2 times, fardu ain and fardu kifayah. And the most important obligatory order, sunnah of Rasulullah is the work of dawah, which many Muslims underestimate this work of dawah. They don't even know. When the work of dawah is the sole purpose, the whole reason as to why Allah have sent the Prophet to this world is to do dawah. What is the work of the Prophet? Is to do dawah, to invite people to Allah, to invite people to good, forbid people, and we don't include that under sunnah. You just take a book written by some scholars, the sunnah of Rasulullah. They don't even put the work of dawah in the list. And not even prayer in the list. How can they understand sunnah as such of keeping beard, How can they understand nailing, foot nail, turban, that's all. They don't even understand the word sunnah. How can you become scholars? I'm not a scholar. I didn't read Arabic. But sunnah is actually not sunnah. It is a practice of Nabi Sallam are called sunnah. The practice of Rasulullah, he do it almost the whole life. And when he was told to stop dawah, he said, if you can give me the sun on my right hand and the moon on the left, I will not leave dawah. This is not the sunnah of Rasulullah. Dawah is not the sunnah. That's why the whole work of the Jewish scholars and the devil Satan, the Jewish scholars who has pretended to become Muslim, is to destroy Islam, is to make the whole Muslim who have recited the kalima, they don't do dawah. That's why in that book, Sunnah of Rasulullah, no work of dawah. In Bukhari Muslim, no work of dawah. You get now in the book, you go and get Sunnah of Rasulullah. You see, there's no work of dawah, no salat berjemaah. Salat with congregation is a big Sunnah of Rasulullah, not in the list. What in the list? Keeping beards. And then have eyelashes, all the small sunnah, The sunnah which may be not mu'akkad also. Ghair mu'akkadah. They list that. But the one was obligatory, sunnah, not written. The work of dawah, the work of calling people to Allah and praying jamaat and salat, the work of calling people to Allah or the work of inviting people to good and forbidding people and salat, they got 2 fard. Fard ain and fard kifayah. For the work of dawah and for salat. These are 2 things which are very important orders of Allah. Allah says in the Quran, Luqman told his wife, "Oh my living son, perform salat and do the work of ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar. And bear passion whatever befall you." And truly these 2 orders are great orders of Allah that you must obey. They don't understand it. They deleted this from the list of sunnah by the scholars, the so-called scholars, but they actually Jews who have pretended to become Muslim only to destroy Islam. So they are very, to a certain extent, for so many thousands of years, Muslims have neglected this work of dawah as their work. They never think that this is their work. The Prophet ﷺ has given this work of dawah, given the work of inviting people to Allah, and the sole purpose or the reason as to why Allah has sent them is only for this work. They are not known as a prophet if they don't do this work. And then we say it is not the sunnah of prophet. You see, Muslims have been deceived. Their textbooks, they are written from books which are earlier written by the Jewish scholars who pretended to become Muslim. So Islam has been destroyed completely into ashes. Like a building, if we say Islam is the building has been torn to ashes. That's about all. What Islam that we know today. So if you want to know the true Islam, you must read my Quran. And then you must come to Malaysia to learn the work of inviting people to good, forbidding people the way shown by Muhammad. I don't live at the time of Nabi Sallallahu. I never know how it is done. But it was first taught to Maulana Ilyas by Muhammad Sallallahu. Either you believe it or not, I'm telling you. You want to believe? Good for you. If you don't want to believe, it's all your choice. So the first ever person who knows how to do dawah the way Muhammad Sallallahu is Maulana Ilyas. He learned it by going into the grave of Nabi Sallallahu for 3 nights. Then from that I have the glimpse of the work. I have the glimpse, not the true one. Then Allah gave me ilham to do it correctly. So I have written all the scripts, guidelines for you to read, to follow in my blog, profnasoha.com. You search for it and you try to memorize it. And you try to do it. The work of the Nabi of inviting people over is not giving lectures only. You must go out to the people. Either you are a scholar or you are not, normal people, poor people or rich. The local work is fardu ain for women and for men. For sick or for health, for healthy person. No one is, allowed to neglect the local work. If you are sick, how to do gash? So you don't go for gash, you just go in front of your house with your bed or your chair. Then you stop. Anybody pass through you, in front of your house. If you are a woman, you only stop the woman. If you are a man, you only stop the man. Then if nobody praying, you must make dua. If you are healthy man and healthy woman and you are husband and wife, 2 of you can go from house to house. If the man come out, you will give dawah. If the woman come out, your wife will. If you don't have a husband or mahram, then you go with another woman to the house of woman of that you know. You don't go from house to house. And then you try to give dawah to them. For 45 minutes to 1.5 hours daily. Morning and the evening. So these are the law. The obligatory, this is ain. Fardu kifayah obligatory is to do the work in the whole world. Also in a month for the local work, you can go for 2 days or 3 days, 4 days to neighboring towns, to neighboring parts of near your locality, to invite those. So the other one fardu kifayah is for going the whole world, the whole country. So for this you have to form a jamaat from your masjid, not woman. Woman is not obligatory for this. Only men, healthy men and men who have money, financially sufficient to left behind with their family and sufficient to take with them. To go for 4 months, 40 days, 2 months, 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, whatever decision in the mashwara is made. Then you form a jamaat to go to the whole places in your country, in the whole world. This is fardu kifayah. Those who are sick, those who have no money, even to the extent they cannot even borrow, are not able to pay back, then there is no sin for them for not going. But for those who are having money, you must spend part of your money in the path of Allah, in going khuruj. Otherwise, Allah will punish you. You got money and you only use for eating and cooking and sightseeing and saving. No. Allah says you must spend your money, part of your money in the path of Allah, in doing this work. and you are healthy, you must go. You don't say, oh, I want to stay at home. I want only to do the local work. If you do this, then the love of this dunya will not come out from your heart. The love towards yourself will not come out from your heart. The love, towards this material thing will not come. And when it doesn't come out from your heart, the kalima will not enter into your heart. And when the kalima cannot enter into your heart, you cannot become even a believer. What more the true believer, the good deeds. You may remain as a person who has entered Islam, and your place will be hellfire. You can only go into paradise, saved from hellfire, and become true believer, the good deeds. When your hearts are empty from the love, not empty, basically less loving this world. The love of Allah is more than the love of this world. Then only you will become the true believer, good deeds, and you'll be able to enter paradise and save from hellfire.